Welcome to the Understanding Projects podcast. My discussion today is with Malak Attia. Malak's background focuses on leadership, as she has attained a master's degree in leadership development and a PhD in business administration and management. She brings this leadership attention to both education and consulting. We discuss the role of a leader in developing a positive culture, both in the classroom and in a project, as well as other related leadership topics. Here is my discussion with Malak Attia. I understand that you, in your classroom where you are meeting with international students for the first time, or at least early when you see them, you talk about culture shock of coming to Canada from another country and experiencing, what's termed as culture shock. Can you share your approach on that subject?
Thank you, Dave, for giving me this opportunity to talk about culture shock and my international students. So I taught so many international students, and culture shock is a common thing. No matter how you went through researches, what you already heard from others, your friends, relatives, it's still incomplete research because it's totally different than coming physically to the country and to the new country and starting to adapt and see how life goes in this new country. So what I saw in common between all of them, that they went through culture shock. I wish that I knew this before. It would actually help me a lot. So culture shock is, we come with our expectations. So we heard from others, we searched on internet, got our information from whatever the resource is. And then we come to the new country, and let's say it's Canada. When you come to a new country and now you are alone, you have to do the laundry, you have to take care of your grocery, cooking, residents, living with people who are totally different, strangers, different weather. Even Canadians, actually, they complain about the weather themselves. So it's really new, with new regulations, new education. So it's totally different than what you expected. So the curve starts to go down. Why? Because you start to think, wow, this is too much. Many surprises. I wasn't prepared for that. Maybe I made a wrong decision. Oh, now my parents, they already paid that much. I'm an international student, and they were bragging there in my country that I got accepted. And you start missing also your parents, your family, your comfort zone. So the curve starts to go steeply down. And then, okay, so there is no way back. You already paid the money. Your parents are already bragging there. You already came. So what others would say if you went back with nothing. So you start to push yourself to adapt to the new culture. So slowly, the curve will start to go down. If we looked at this curve from the beginning, you would see that it's all about your expectations. It depended on incomplete research. You had thoughts in your mind about how things would go, but this doesn't mean that it will have to go this way. So it's all is here actually in the kitchen, in your brain. Mm-hmm. So the moment you start to fix and work on your expectations is the moment you start to adapt and relax, and things get much easier.
Right.
So, yeah.
So what should one do? you're in this situation, you're expecting this, and then it turned out differently, and you can start to feel bad about it. You can start to become, you know, a little bit down or depressed. How do you raise yourself out of that? Like what strategy should students take to start to you know, kind of um, dig themselves out of that?
Okay, so the first thing that they need to know is their battle or their competition is with themselves, not with anyone else. So it's they came with certain expectations which depended on incomplete research. So they have to work on their expectations. So this is again what I say, their battle, or the person who is in culture shock, his or her battle is with herself or himself. Okay, so this was wrong. I need to adapt. This was on an incomplete, depended on incomplete research. So now I know that this what happened. This is the real thing. And we have to excuse people who already asked and didn't give us the full picture, because not because they are trying to hide, but they are giving the full picture. You might get an idea that, okay, maybe they don't want to for me to come and see the same thing or be in the same experience. No, it's they were scared how you will get this reality, or how things are really going. They give you part and they hide it, not hide it, but they thought about that this might be understood wrongly. So you need to excuse these people and let it go. It's not a mistake. They didn't try to hide, but it's what should I say? Reality is different from one person to another. So we have to excuse people.
How do your students react when you talk to them about this? Do they open up? Do they talk about it with you, or do you just feel that they're absorbing it and thinking about it?
So when they see the full picture, they start to ease and relax. Yes, exactly. We are here. We are in this phase now. We had the whole curve. Now we are up. So they know I'm actually describing their situation. So they feel that I understand them. So they start to open up and talk about it.
Right. So there's a comfort in feeling that they're not the only ones, that they're, you know, this is not unique. You understand. When you talk about expectations, I think of an expression that I've come across. I didn't coin this, but I like it, which is the word should. And it was referred to, the expression is the tyranny of the should. That is, if you are talking about, well, it should be this way, the education, the environment, what I should experiencing, or what I have experienced, or what I want to experience should be this. That's not helpful. It's what it is. It's here's where we are. And that's a key. I think it's really a key skill to develop, is to let go of should as much as you can. It's important to understand, okay, this is what I expected. Here's where I am. Here's what I need to deal with now to stay in the way it should be, the way I thought it should have be, what I thought it was going to be, is not helpful. And as you say, they're here. They're going back is not, always necessarily a viable option for the reasons you've said. And so I think this really, if we start to think about projects in general, this would be something that, projects have cultures that are developed, and team members coming onto a project may have incomplete information as well. They might be coming on thinking, oh, this is going to be a great project. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be, and what they themselves may run into expectation issues there as well. Well, this project should run this way, or it should do this, and it's not doing it. So, I think as project managers, there's probably a role for us to be similar to you at the front of the classroom as you at the front of the project, and helping people through this. So I think there's a parallel there.
Yes. So I feel each course that I teach is a project. Mm-hmm. I am dealing with different students. So in a project, to lead a project, you need to involve your team members. Right. They need to be connected. To be connected, I have to. So if we are talking about emotional intelligence, it's not about me only understanding myself, which is the starting point. It's also me understanding others. So you need your team member to like you, to know that they can come, you are approachable, they can come to you, you are approachable. You have to choose simple words to pass your vision to them, what you need exactly to achieve. And they need to know that they can come and open up to you. So if there is something happened, we need to work on it. Right. Together, not to point fingers. It's not the time to blame, which is a not recommended strategy. So you are responsible for your team. You need to take care of your team.
Right.
We are one. We are not many. We are one. So this is what I do in my classes, and it's like a project. So you are not entering a class just to give them the word, whatever you prepared for them, and then you would go. It never stops here.
Yes, I agree. And what you're talking about, this I think what we're starting to talk about, and which is an important topic within projects and project management, is that of leadership. And I do think, a key a key role or responsibility of a leader is to develop an environment, or a culture that is positive within your project or within your course, which is like you said, which I think viewing it as a project is absolutely true. And that is one of the key things that leaders do is to create that environment. Like we said, that we are one. No, we're not a bunch of individuals. We are one. And if you can communicate and inspire people to that is very positive, but it's a real sign of leadership.
I had a comment from one of my students this Wednesday, yes. And I was talking to them. You just reminded me of that incident, Dave. I was talking to them about the education in Canada, and that you get too many assignments because they want to ease the stress on tests. So it's not just one assessment that will actually determine how much did you digest from the course. So that's why you have many assignments. This is how this education is going. And this is how it is in Canada. So so I got a comment from my student, and he said, well, my culture is better than this culture. So I said, okay, just put in your mind that culture is very sensitive to every single one. So when you compare, this is not fair. it's just culture. So this is a culture and this is another culture. There is no good or bad culture. There is no wrong or right culture. This is how you need to think about it. So you need to adapt to it. You need to see how it's going and then try to follow. So thinking of a culture is better than another culture is not taking you anywhere. You will just keep blaming yourself for coming and then putting yourself down. And there is no win situation here. Right. So it's better to think that it's a different culture and this is where I am and I need to move forward.
Absolutely. And were you able to see how he responded? Do you think he agreed with you? How did that conversation go?
I think I will need to repeat that many times somehow for him or others who did not speak up anyway, because you expect that this is the same way of thinking, not only for him, but for others too. So I will have to repeat that many times so they can digest it.
Right. No, and I agree that oftentimes when people have deep-seated beliefs, we won't necessarily change with one statement for sure. In the topic of leadership, because during those types of advices that you're providing, that you're demonstrating leadership and so on, what do you think defines a good leader? Like what is leadership, and whether it's in the classroom on a classroom as a project or on a business project, is if the project manager is going to exhibit leadership, what defines that? What is it?
I would think of trust. So being honest, get closer to them, find out how they feel, how they think, what would make them feel better in the environment. How can I be there for them when they need me? It doesn't have to be at work only. So I get from some of my students emails, and I feel like they are struggling somehow about finding an answer to something. So I just call them on Teams. And then suddenly they see me in front of them. But they know that I am approachable. They know that they can find me. They know that I am here to support. So I gain their trust slowly. This is what I try to do. I got two students, two of my students, on Wednesday, because it's an in-person class, asking, well, we have this issue with another course. What do you think we should do? So they're discussing me about other courses. So guys, so how is my course? So what I stress on is that I'm here. I'm here to help. I'm here. I'm reachable.
Yeah, and I want to point out that what oftentimes people, when they think of great leaders and so on, they'll think of, the person who speaks very eloquently, or has this sort of presence, or has this certain charisma and so on. We sometimes attribute physical attributes to leaders, and I want to note your first response to this was trust, and I agree with you. And it really, I think it's really a lesson that we should think about, which is, if we want to be an effective leader, be able to lead people, which is to influence them and get them moving in a certain direction and have them, treat the project as one and not as individuals, as exhibit that leadership. You can't just do that. You can't come in and just say some fancy words and, put some graphics on a screen or something and expect that's not leadership. That's people will see through that. The hard work of it is to, exhibit and generate trust, with
Yes.
your team.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not easy.
And give people a chance and bear with them and handle their mistakes and see it as an opportunity for them to learn. So I'll give you another incident. We hire volunteers for PMI LOC. So it was my mission to do that when we needed more volunteers. So I saw this resume. This candidate had PMP, and she was working in a coffee shop, which I totally respect. But the whole background of her education and past working experience was about marketing and media. So I said, I think she needs a chance. She's from another country. She's here alone. She's trying to build herself. She's trying to start a new life to her. And she's still young. So I think she needs a chance. Let me get her in and support. So that's it. So
right.
You need to help people all the time. And
that's sort of what a leader. So what you're saying is in what leaders will also do is to recognize people's strengths and give them a chance to demonstrate it. Like that is a key leadership skill, I think, and characteristic is to not just say, okay, I want you to do this transaction, and I know you did that transaction yesterday, so do that transaction tomorrow. That's part of management. That's a management function, I think. It's like, assign people to work that have the skills to do so. And so no doubt that's part of a project and part of work. But there's also the leadership, which is to recognize abilities or recognize potential. Maybe, in this situation, you didn't necessarily know, but you recognize there's potential there, that you wanted to give this person, I think, a chance to show what they could do. And that is something that, again, I think there's two elements to that. One is the person themselves will very much appreciate and trust you in the future and so on. The other is others are watching that as well. The thing that leaders, project managers and leaders need to understand is everything they're doing, it's not just the person they're interacting with, it's everybody else is watching and observing and can see what you're doing, and even if you were just thinking, well, nobody was there in the coffee shop or nobody was there, people find out. Like, the person will tell their friends, hey, this, I had a great interaction and she really gave me a chance and so on. So understand that your actions spread, and that brings us into the concept of reputation, of, well, what you do generates a reputation, which again builds into trust. If your reputation is that you don't give people chances and you're very critical, and if somebody makes a mistake, you're going to point it out in a group, you will get a reputation as a very untrustworthy person, and don't be surprised if people don't want to work with you. But if the opposite's true, if you are, if you give second chances, if you are understanding, you do give people a chance to perform, your reputation becomes positive, and then it becomes a process that builds on itself.
Yeah, and she's doing amazing now, and I think every meeting we have, that she attends with us, we clapped her ideas. So, and she's happy, and so it was a good chance for me to have her in. Something else too. I had a comment from a student of mine, and it was an online class, and they had to put their names on a Google Doc. So the student was asking me, I had my name on the table, but someone erased my name. So I don't know why this person erased my name, and who is that person? So now we are aiming on something that is not related actually to the point. We are aiming fingers. So I told him, okay, could you please write your name again? Just so the aim is finding solutions, right? Not to point fingers. So even if we knew the person who did this or that, okay, so what? What would happen? What are we trying to achieve here?
Yeah.
So the best thing is, and if we go back to trust, as much as you want people to trust you, you need to trust them too.
Yep.
So this is something that I followed when I picked that amazing candidate. You need to trust people. You need to tell them that they can do it. I can see that you can do it. It's fine. I'm here if you needed something. I think this is what I think about leadership. It's not about, sorry, it's not about words or making a noise around you.
Yeah, agreed. What about, okay, for someone watching or listening, and they're saying, well, I don't have, I don't think I'm a leader, you know, I don't know how to do that. What would be your advice to them? Is can you practice leadership? Can you achieve leadership, or is that just something that people have? Like there are people born leaders, or what can people do to move up the leadership scale, so to speak?
I always tell all my students, we are all leaders, because no one knows everything. No organization has all the resources, right? So they merge, the acquisition, they alliance with another company. Why? Because they need each other. They gonna benefit when they are together. So why is that? On leadership, I am expert in something, you are an expert in something different, another person is expert in something different. Maybe in this situation, you would need my experience. In another situation, so I'm the leader in that situation. Mm-hmm. In another situation, we need your experience. So you are the leader in that situation, and so on. So at the end, we are all leaders.
Right. Okay. But if somebody wants to get better, like I agree with you that when there's always situations there, but what if somebody says, you know, nobody will, whenever I make a point, I kind of get disregard like that, and that isn't often you see where, you know, and again, I agree, in the classroom, there's often students that they kind of feel like, you know, whenever I make a point, the team doesn't want to do it, or they you know, they always kind of go the other way as well. How do you get, are there sort of ways to become more you know, more accomplished at it? Like, you know, I think we all want to be lead. Like, I think most people would or many people would want to be a leader or want to improve their leadership skills. What should we do to try to improve and try to
work on our leadership skills?
Yeah.
So it starts from us. So the starting point is you. So you need to know more about yourself. You need to dig deeper. So what I tell my students, have you been in a situation where you plan to act in a certain way and then you found yourself acting in a totally different way? And I get from most of them, yes. Okay, did you think about it? Why did you act what did you act differently? No. Okay, so this means that you did not dig deeper. You need to know more about yourself. You need to know what triggered this action. So by knowing what triggers the person, we would know how to manage more our emotions. And by knowing more about how to manage your emotions, you will start to find out more about others and connect to others in a much better way. But you have to have an open mind and an open heart for that. So emotions cannot be skipped. You cannot ignore emotions. Sometimes when we are in a situation and you think that, okay, it's a small thing, I don't have to talk about it with him or with her, and then you skip it. And then another time this something else or similar happens. So you say, okay, it's a small thing. If I went and talk about it, I will look dumb or something. And then you skip it. And you think that you overcome this emotion. But actually you are piling them up. It's like a burger sandwich. So when you squeeze it, the mayonnaise comes from this way, pickles comes from this way, and it will come in the wrong situation. And you will find yourself, God forbid, exploding when everyone in this situation will point at you and say, you are the wrong one, because they didn't see the whole route. Right. They only saw the final incident. So it starts from you. You need to manage you need actually to understand your emotion, what triggers you. You need to analyze your personality and find your strength. And I always ask my students, would you work on your strengths or your weaknesses? What do you think mostly I get? The answer. Weaknesses. Yeah. Which is not right.
Yes, that's true.
Right. Whatever, you have your right hand and left hand. I'm right-handed. If I worked on my left hand to make it as strong as my right hand, would that work? No matter how long time I give or how much effort I give, it will never be like my right hand. So I'm gonna stress on my right hand, my strengths. And this is what I did for PMP, by the way.
Yes.
So
you worked on your strengths?
Yes, exactly. One of my strengths is learning. I'm a learner. So I said, okay, I love project management. Why not to study it? And I am good in learning. I love learning and studying. Let me go for it. And it was very hard for me because my specialty is in marketing and leadership, master in leadership, PhD in international marketing. So where is project management here? Yeah. So you need to work on your strength and always focus and improve and always go forward.
Right. That's very good advice. And I agree, it is counterintuitive. Like that's where I was hesitating there because I wasn't sure which way they would go, but you're right. Most of the time we're sort of trained to, fix your weaknesses, and you're right. And even in career advice, we're often told, well, you do whatever, you can do whatever you want, as opposed to figure out what your strengths are, which is often what you like to do, and really maximize that you can, if you understand what your strengths are, and we all have different strengths, and if you can leverage that and make your strengths into a superpower as much as you can, then you're going to do well, right? But this idea of shoring up the things that you're not good at, of try to go from not very good to average, isn't useful. It's not, because there's lots of people, lots of average, people in the workplace. But if you can do something you're good at and become very good at it, then that is powerful. And that applies. I like what you said about leadership too, which is to understand yourself. And I agree. There's so many times when you are in situations and you think it's the other person's fault. they shouldn't have reacted this way. What they said was wrong. They did this, they, as opposed to what could I have done? What was my emotion? Could I have responded differently? Did I understand the situation? Could I have done, if you have that reflective approach, you will be able to find out ways to improve your leadership, improve your interactions, your interpersonal skills, which are all good for dealing with people.
Yeah, I tell my students at the end of each day, guys, try to write down incidents that happened and try to look at it. So when you write it, you visualize it, you see it better. So, and see what exactly triggered you, and try to analyze your emotions and find out best way to deal with it and manage it. And if you needed help, seek help. It's okay. It's okay. If you cannot do it alone, seek help. It's fine.
Right.
But you are trying to improve, and this is great. And this is good. This has to be appreciated. And you need to be kind to yourself, not harsh on yourself.
Yes.
And I get a question from, okay, so what shall we do with our weaknesses? So if you're saying that let's stress on our strengths, okay, what shall we do with our weaknesses? I said, okay, guys, for weaknesses, you could work on them. But if you really, 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 the whole line, really, really endless, really need them.
Right. This has been a really great discussion. I really appreciate your sharing it today, and the feedback that you're giving to students. All students, particularly the international students that are, experiencing, adjustments and culture shock in their journey to Canada. So very appreciate your discussion today, and thank you very much for coming on and sharing.
Well, actually, I do thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity you gave me to talk about it and spread the news.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for this episode. If you would like to learn more about project management, you can find my book, Understanding Project Management, A Practical Guide, on Amazon. Please also consider following Understanding Projects on your favorite podcast player or clicking subscribe on YouTube.